Creatures of the night, it's your girl Tati, and look, I am just gonna say this right now. Whatever my opinions are just my opinions. Y'all go on and check the show out for yourselves. But I personally did not feel entertained with this episode. Like, in terms of having fun, I did not have fun with this. This was giving filler episode. Something about it felt um didn't it just did not feel like a typical Dynamite episode. Some things felt random, and then the outcomes being predictable for the most part, not everything. Is another thing that kind of played into why the show just didn't really feel like a fun, cohesive show. We did start off with our scumbag MJF, who it comes out and making fun of the South Carolinians, or however you call them, making fun of their accent, talking about they're stupid and that they live in a shithole state. But at the same time, he's making it seem like as if he is America's hero, which is interesting while he's talking shit about Americans. So, I mean, there were a couple of things that were a little bit entertaining in terms of what he was saying. But overall, to open the show, I didn't feel like it was strong. MJF had this crazy ass, ugly red jacket with eagles on it and all that stuff. The title is just hideous. Once again, it's so noticeable how ugly it is. But whatever. While he's over here talking and telling everyone to get your asses up and stand up for your American hero, here is our bruv, Will Ospreay, who comes out. And MJF just scrambles and run out the ring, and he runs towards the stage as Will Ospreay make it to the ring. Will Ospreay is so funny because this whole thing is coming off as in the American hero versus the UK bruv type of thing. However, the Americans are cheering for our UK bruvs, which is interesting. Oh God, what can I say? I did not find this to be, like, in terms of the best when it comes to MJF. And with this starting off the show, I didn't care for it, but it led right into our opening match, which was Lance Archer versus Will Ospreay. Lance Archer gets in that ring. He's obviously had things, prior with Will Ospreay in New Japan. So here we are with them hitting it off again. We did have a good portion of this match where Lance Archer, I felt, look strong. And I think that's all they were going to do, was just have Lance Archer look strong, and instead of him taking the win. Will Ospreay takes the win with the hidden blade. And I have to say that I was very disappointed in this. We spent like 2-3 weeks. We've been getting these little promos from Lance Archer, who's been basically saying that, y'all forgot who the fuck I am, the Murder Hawk Monster, blah, 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 blah. And he's been having squash matches against people they picking up from the parking lot. And then all of a sudden, here he has a match with somebody who's actually on the roster, and he loses. And I'm just like, why do we build people up like this just to have them lose? Will Ospreay has already taken 2 L's back to back, and I felt like, well, what's another one? If he lost to Lance Archer, would that have been the biggest deal? Would that have been a problem if he would have lost to Lance Archer? I don't think so. It's just one of those situations where it's just like, I don't understand why he could not have taken the win, especially after a couple of weeks of y'all building up to be this big thing. When I was at the Ring of Honor taping, he also cut a promo on Will Ospreay, which they did not show on Dynamite for whatever reason. I don't understand. Whatever the situation is, very disappointing. After the match, we do have MJF who come out there and attacks Will Ospreay. And then here is our Aussie bruv, Kyle Fletcher, who come out there with his church shoes, high water pants, and crop top shirt, and his arm is all tatted up, along with Uncle Don. He comes out there to help Will Ospreay, and Kyle Fletcher, long story short, wants to whoop MJF ass. He said, that's my homeboy, that's my homie, Will Ospreay right there. If you got a problem with him, you got a problem with me. And he's like, you know what, Uncle Don, I know we in the group or whatever, and I know he's not in the group, but I'm willing to do anything for my bruv. And, we end off with that. And this took like 30 minutes. This whole thing that I was talking about took like 30 minutes. didn't really feel strong. And honestly, Lance Archer could have taken that win. So I wasn't happy with the opening of that show. Up next, we had Chris Jericho, the Learning Tree, along with the Bad Apple, Brian Keith, and Big Bill. Big Bill has a cake to celebrate the 102 days of Chris Jericho being the LTW champion. And I'm just like, didn't he just have like 2 title defense out of all these days? Like, what are we celebrating here? He's talking about Shibata. He says, Shibata, you don't got no friends. Hook's still in the hospital from that fireball. Samoa Joe got crushed by a paper wall. You have no one to help you out. And next week, we're going to get Brian Keith versus Shibata. So that's going to be interesting because Chris Jericho, little pinky finger, is broken. Cry me a river. After this, we have Statlander versus Willow for the billionth time. This was an eliminator match for the CMLL Women's Championship match. Statlander takes the win because Stoltz helps her cheat with a what do you call that? A chain. So she had a metal chain and she ends up hitting Willow with it while RB Edwards is just blindsided, obviously, and can't see a damn thing. And I thought that was interesting. So now that means they continue this little saga between the two of these girls, possibly taking this to All In. Tony Khan, I'm fucking bored. All right, so up next, we have the American Dragon, my boy, Bryan Danielson. This kind of felt a little long, and the reason why it felt long was because this was literally smack in the middle of the show. So like a couple of minutes to like 8 o'clock, and this ran after 8. So in a way, it kind of felt like the first hour wasn't too strong, and then we put this. And Bryan Danielson, I was just like, Lord have mercy, don't come out here to tell us that you're not going to make it to All In or your back is broken or whatever the situation is. I didn't want to hear any of that. Basically, long story short, he was saying that, he made promises, especially to his family, that when his daughter turns 7, he'll stop wrestling. And I was like, hold on now. Well, how old is she? Because, how much time do you got? Then he goes on and confirm that his contract with AEW ends tomorrow. And I'm just like, holy shit, you're extending this, right? Are you? So what he came out to say was that, he had promised to kick heads in, and he's been doing that. But the one thing that he promised was to get the world title, and he has not yet done that. So he, he really wants this title. Swerve comes out with some really strange looking pants, but whatever. Comes out with Prince Nana, and they have a really strong exchange of words where I was just like, oh, okay, they're waking me up a little bit. And I actually appreciated that this whole thing happened between the two of them, because we've been seeing Bryan Danielson looking pretty injured, who's looking not to be 100%, but he's saying that he is going to give 100% at All In. Swerve is like, Lord, this is my house. This is my time. He's like, I've been inspired by you, and I respect you. And if you were to be going against anyone else, I'd be rooting for you. But you're going against me, so I'm not. Now, Danielson looks at Swerve, and he goes, you know what? I'm going to win that world title, and if I don't, I will never wrestle again. And the second he said that, I'm not gonna lie, I just looked at the situation. I said, well, there it is. They just told you that Bryan Danielson is winning the world title. And it's funny because obviously the contract ends tomorrow. So with that being the case, does it really even matter what happens at All In? He's still going to make it at least to that. And if he wins the world title, which I would love to see, not necessarily at All In, what is it going to give us as a champion? You know what I mean? So we'll see. I'm not sure what happened there. Still a strong promo between the two of them. They end up, looking in each other's eyes or whatever. And I believe they shake hands and just, walk away from each other. What I was kind of hoping for, though, now that we've seen our champion Swerve, was a little update, a video something of them showing what the fuck happened after Blood and Guts when Swerve and Hangman made it to the bag, and we'd never seen them all week, and they did not even show anything. People were concerned, or at least wondering, what happened when Swerve and Hangman made it to the bag, and they didn't say anything about it. They didn't show anything about it. And I felt like that was a missed opportunity. They're kind of, it almost seemed like they forgot that something happened between them, and that, you know, you leave people with blood and guts, with a cliffhanger between the champion and Hangman that have been beefing for the longest now. And then you come back the next week and you're just kind of like, well, we're just going to forget that happened. They're not going to be concerned about what happened between the two of them. Yes, we are, Tony Khan. What the hell happened? But now, when Bryan Danielson make it to the back, Renee Paquette back there, and she's like, bro, like, you just literally put your career on the line against Swerve at All In. And she's trying to get his, you know, opinions about what just happened. And then here is Jeff Jarrett and them back there, and they're just like, oh, I knew it, Bryan. I knew you had it in you. And then Bryan gets in his face and said, oh, you want to see if I have it in me? How about you and I go together in the ring next week on Dynamite? And I was like, oh, that's how you really feel, Bryan? I was actually pretty surprised about that. He just walks off. And then Jay and Sanjay, all of them are just looking like, whoa, what the fuck just happened? Obviously, Bryan is definitely feeling that adrenaline in his soul from that promo. And he's obviously feeling some type of way. And for whatever reason, he's going to want to take his frustration out on Jeff Jarrett, the one that has been seemingly supporting him these past few weeks, which is really interesting. So we'll see what happened with that. After this trios action, we had the Conglomeration, Mark Briscoe, Orange Cassidy, and Ishii versus Roderick Strong, Rush, and Beast Mortos. Very random. Very random. Roderick Strong obviously got something going on with that group. We're not even worried about it. But Rush and Beast Mortos being thrown into this felt very strange. A lot of people was complaining about that in the chat. Like, where is this coming from? It felt like, aside from it being random, it kind of felt like we just throwing something on the show just to throw something on the show. And surprise, surprise, Beast Mortos take the win for his team, which I was not expecting at all. Honestly, I was just waiting for the match to be over. Things just started feeling very random at that point. We had the Acclaim with Daddy Ass back there. A Max Caster feeling some type of way, feeling like $1 million after doing nothing, not a damn thing at Blood and Guts. Want to go out there and challenge FTR to a match for Collision. And I'm just like, you know what? Good. Go get your ass whooped. I don't mind. You know, I'm still like, I'm not over it. Max Caster is on this high in terms of being part of Blood and Guts. And to be honest, baby, you didn't do a damn thing in that match. You barely got a or a participation ribbon for being in that match, but you the one who's doing all the talking about FTR this, FTR that. I cannot wait to go to Collision tomorrow night, which is on Thursday, and watch you get your ass whooped by FTR personally. Thank you, Dax, in cash in advance. After this, we got a little sit-down interview with Renee Paquette and Mariah. Mariah says a couple of things about how she did like Toni Storm, and Toni Storm did nothing to her, and that's why she did what she did. And then when Renee tried to get some more info out of her, Renee ends up leaving, where Mariah tells her that she don't got nothing else to say. So what else can she do? Mariah, the bronzer and things like that you had on that interview wasn't that great. After that, we do have Toni Storm, who comes out on stage. She has a title, she has a shoe, and she's talking about how, she's going to end up winning and have they're going to have the romance of a lifetime at All In. Her makeup was crazy. Whoever did Toni Storm's makeup, I don't know if that's part of the whole thing or whatever, but she looked like she was ready to be in a casket, okay? It did not look good at all. Maybe Toni Storm is having a breakdown somewhat, kind of, maybe. Wasn't feeling this at all. After this, we do have Brittany Jade, poor Brittany, versus Camille. CEO brings out Camille, refers to Camille as the Brick House. I mean, I don't mind it, but I don't also care for it either. It's cool. I think we probably could have come up with a better name for her. Brittany, prayers. I hope you're all right. This was interesting. And I did not like I knew it. I was like, Camille's going to have her first match. Well, not first match, but Camille's going to return, have a match, and then we're gonna just get a squash. That's exactly what that was. And I get it. She's the brick house. But does that mean that people, especially those bigger type wrestlers, those meaty wrestlers, those type of people, that they have to always be in squash situations? I would have loved to see her in the ring with somebody for a little bit so they could truly show what Camille is about. After that, we do have DMD. I'm sorry, not DMD. CEO talking about DMD or whatever. She's ready for that match with her, whatnot, and that she's building this corporation or whatnot. And I know everybody's seen the picture of Shane O'Mac with Tony Khan in some random office or whatever. And it's interesting because Mercedes did post that she was the one who leaked that picture. Don't know if that's true or whatever the situation is, but people are putting this whole CEO corporation thing to tie her up with Shane O'Mac. I don't know if that's the case. We'll see. But still, at this point, bored as fuck. All right. Our main event. For the first time ever, we had Hangman Adam Page versus Darby Allin. For what reason, I don't know. I will say this. It felt random that these two were going with each other, despite the two of them being in blood and guts. And it's just like, there really isn't anything to go off of between the two of them. Like I said, people were concerned about what the hell happened between Hangman and Swerve. But I think people were excited for this match because it's something that we actually have not had. So, Darby Allin, I don't know what number live Darby Allin is on. But he's going to be running out soon. This was just one of those situations where it's like a suicide mission. Hangman actually, I don't know if he's been at the gym lately, but he looks a little bit bigger in this match. I don't know. I just noticed his body to just be a little bit different in comparison when he came back, I think like maybe a month or so ago. So if you're working out, Hangman, you're doing something. So I could appreciate that. Darby Allin thrown around like a rag doll, thrown onto the steel steps. Hangman, I want to say slightly unhinged because I know Hangman could definitely be unhinged. And he didn't take it as far as I hoped he would have gone in this match. Like, he's supposed to be mad as fuck about all this shit that's been going on with him and Swerve. Baby mama done took the baby and took all the furniture. So I was expecting to see a little bit more anger from Hangman. And then we had I don't know, maybe 10 minutes left of the show. And then the lights went off. And I was like, holy shit, who's about to come out? The lights was on. I don't remember exactly how long it went off. But what really happened was that they weren't paying the bills over there and in that little arena that they were in. I'm just like, hold on. When lights go off in wrestling, people assume things are going to happen. But it just seemed like there's some kind of electrical issue or whatever situation was that had nothing to do with the match. And I felt like, holy shit, why didn't that just happen during a commercial break when there was no picture-in-picture? That would have been better off than in comparison to that happening during the main event. Long story short, after Hangman give Darby how many dead eyes? Maybe 3, I think, back to back. You're thinking that Darby was just not going to get up. Even Darby was going to go for a buckshot Larry. And I'm just like, bro, I don't know what you think you're going for, but it's not happening. What pissed me off, Darby taking a win with a fucking roll-up. I could not believe it. And we just end the show with Hangman just being angry, throwing a chair into the ring and sitting in a corner, just reevaluating his life or whatever. I'm just like, what is this? What is this? For a roll-up, a main event, Darby of all people? I guess that's the only way he was going to end up taking this one. Now, I do want to say that this, overall, I love AEW, but this episode, I just did not care for. A lot of things just kind of felt like, if I missed the episode, then I would have just missed it. And it would have not really been much. And just the flow of the show and a lot of randomness just didn't seem to make the show feel any better than what it was. I felt like Darby Allin winning. I love Darby, but I wouldn't have given him the win here. Also, I don't know, just not what I was hoping for. Now, y'all go ahead and watch it if you want. The clips on YouTube. I can't tell y'all what to do, but I just didn't care for the show overall. We do have Ring of Honor tomorrow. I did go to the tapings this weekend. I spent literally 9 hours over there, just watching matches all day, tapings and all that stuff. It was a great time. But I won't be able to do a watch along since I will be at Collision taping tomorrow. Collision will be on early, trying to beat SummerSlam. So, y'all can watch Collision earlier in the day and then SummerSlam later on when that comes out. So I don't blame them for having the show come on earlier. I can't wait to go to Collision. I think it's going to be a great show. Even though I didn't feel too entertained with this episode. Some episodes are better than others. That's just how it is. We can't expect a A+ show every freaking week. But at some point, TonyCon, we're just going to have to do better with the booking. Guys, thanks so much for watching my review. I will be back tomorrow with a review on Ring of Honor.